One man changed streaming forever. Reed Hastings, visionary or villain? The dark side of Netflix, revealed. They say that behind every great fortune lies a dark secret. When it comes to Reed Hastings, the man who turned a tiny DVD by mail service into a global streaming empire worth tens of billions, this old maxim may ring chillingly true. Today we're diving into the murky waters of ambition, strategy, and the relentless drive for dominance that transformed a quiet, introspective mathematician into a towering figure of the entertainment world. This is the story of Reed Hastings, his early struggles, his meteoric rise to wealth, and the ruthless tactics he employed to forever reshape how we consume content. Stay with us as we peel back the layers, revealing not just the genius behind Netflix's success, but also the controversial decisions and cutthroat nature that propelled Hastings into the realm of the ultra-wealthy. By the end, you may wonder, did Hastings revolutionize entertainment for the better, or did he simply rewrite the rules of power and control? And as we inch closer to understanding Hastings' true nature, ask yourself, what would you be willing to sacrifice to turn your vision into an empire? Reed Hastings was not born into opulence. His story begins in Boston, Massachusetts in 1960, unremarkable to the casual observer. He came of age in a world that offered no clear roadmap for future media moguls. The entertainment landscape of his youth belonged to movie theaters, network TV, and radio. Yet from the start, Hastings displayed a methodical mind and a curiosity that set him apart. He studied mathematics at Bowdoin College, immersing himself in a world of equations and logic. After graduation, he didn't immediately leap into a high-powered career. Instead, he chose an unconventional path, the Peace Corps, volunteering in Swaziland, now Eswatini, teaching math to children. This period forged a sense of independence, resilience, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. He had left the comfort of American life and immersed himself in a place where stability was not guaranteed. When he returned to the US, he carried a quiet but growing ambition. In the late 1980s and early 90s, he navigated the nascent world of Silicon Valley, observing closely as tech titans began to stake their claims in software and consumer electronics. He would found his first company, Pure Software, in 1991, a venture into debugging tools for engineers. Hastings discovered that he had an aptitude not just for engineering solutions, but for guiding teams, raising capital, and making high-stakes decisions. Investors noticed, and before long, he sold Pure Software to Rational Software in a deal that made him a millionaire. Yet even that substantial windfall would pale in comparison to what awaited him. But with newfound wealth and a taste of power, what would Hastings dare to attempt next? And at what cost? In the late 1990s, a revolution was brewing. The rise of the internet stirred dreams of delivering all kinds of products and services directly to consumers' doorsteps. For Hastings, inspiration struck in a story he would recount many times, though critics have questioned its authenticity. According to legend, he was charged a late fee for returning the movie Apollo 13 past its due date. This small injustice, he claimed, planted the seed for a subscription-based DVD rental model with no pesky late fees. He partnered with Mark Randolph, and together, they launched Netflix in 1997. At the time, the idea seemed modest, maybe even niche a mail-order DVD rental service. But Hastings had something else in mind, something far bigger and more disruptive. Early on, he recognized that streaming content over the internet could be the future. In an era when blockbuster stores reigned supreme, Hastings dared to dream beyond physical copies of movies and television shows. He began charting a path to undermine the status quo. But first, he needed leverage. He introduced a subscription model, betting that customers would embrace the convenience of renting by mail. He was right. Netflix began to grow. Blockbuster, the Goliath of the industry, ignored him at first. But soon, Hastings made a move that would define his early legacy. He marched right up to Blockbuster's leadership and offered to sell Netflix for $50 million. Blockbuster executives laughed him out of the room. They couldn't see past their brick-and-mortar empire. Hastings returned to Netflix more determined than ever. Over the next few years, he methodically chipped away at Blockbuster's market share. By 2007, as broadband internet improved, Netflix launched its streaming service. Blockbuster, too slow to adapt, declared bankruptcy in 2010. Hastings had won, seizing the throne of home entertainment. Yet as Netflix soared to new heights, we must ask, how far was Hastings willing to go to ensure absolute dominance over an entire industry? Beneath the friendly red logo and promise of endless entertainment, a darker story unfolds, one of strategic ruthlessness. For all his vision and innovation, Hastings is not remembered as a gentle leader within the halls of Netflix. From very early on, he demanded a certain kind of performance. Netflix's notorious corporate culture would come to reflect Hastings' own relentless pursuit of excellence, a place where being adequate was never enough, and where making tough personnel decisions was an art form. Over time, Hastings gained a reputation for guiding the company with an iron hand wrapped in a velvet glove. He championed honesty and transparency, unless you were a competitor or a roadblock to his vision. He struck crucial content deals at times that forced studios and networks to rethink their entire distribution models. This often left traditional players scrambling, losing revenue and negotiating power. And then there was the Quickster fiasco of 2011, when Hastings decided to split Netflix's DVD and streaming services into two separate entities. Customers revolted. Instead of backing down softly, he doubled down until subscriber numbers began falling, forcing him to issue a rare public apology. Even apologies, it seemed, were calculated moves in the chessboard of Hastings' ambition. We must now look deeper into the internal culture at Netflix. Did Hastings build an environment that rewarded excellence, or did he create a cutthroat machine fueled by fear and intimidation? At the heart of Netflix's success lies a profound paradox. Hastings shaped a corporate culture that he himself described as one of freedom and responsibility. The now famous Netflix culture deck, published online, became a Silicon Valley sensation. Lauded by some as the key to unlocking peak employee performance, and criticized by others as a harsh set of rules that puts results above all else. The principles included a startling degree of candor, a tolerance for what Hastings termed smart mistakes, and an unapologetic stance on firing even good employees if they weren't considered A players. Salary was tied not to tenure or loyalty, but to market rates. The goal to attract and retain only the best talent. But this razor-sharp approach created a workplace environment that some considered Darwinian. If you made a misstep, there was no safety net. High performers thrived, while others lived in a state of constant anxiety. Netflix prided itself on transparency, but the transparency often benefited those in power more than the rank and file who faced immense pressure to deliver. Hastings argued that this culture allowed Netflix to pivot, innovate, and remain agile. Indeed, Netflix could outmaneuver competitors and take risks that other corporations wouldn't dare. Yet behind these successes lurked a question: at what human cost did this efficiency come? As Netflix conquered Hollywood and reshaped global entertainment, did Hastings' merciless approach spill over into his dealings with content creators, partners, and entire industries? Hastings' vision extended far beyond renting DVDs or merely outlasting Blockbuster. After establishing Netflix as the premier streaming service, he took aim at Hollywood itself. By investing billions in original content, he circumvented the traditional power structures of film and television. He scooped up top-tier talent, financed ambitious projects, and placed Netflix originals on the same level as the most celebrated studios. Soon, Netflix wasn't just a distribution platform, it was a full-fledged entertainment empire. Hollywood's old guard panicked. Cable networks scrambled to launch their own streaming services. Prestige directors and production companies negotiated fiercely to secure fair deals. Meanwhile, Netflix's global expansion brought its brand to every corner of the earth. Through cunning negotiations, massive marketing budgets, and data-driven content decisions, Hastings transformed Netflix from a Silicon Valley tech startup into a cultural behemoth capable of influencing global pop culture trends. But behind the scenes, there were whispers. Some creators bristled at Netflix's demands for certain formats or pacing engineered to keep viewers hooked. Traditional networks accused Netflix of playing a long game, outbidding them on content and driving them to shrink or disappear, while Netflix grew ever more dominant. And all the while, Hastings maintained a quiet demeanor, rarely engaging in public spats, preferring to orchestrate Netflix's moves from a position of subtle strength. As Netflix overshadowed Hollywood's traditional gatekeepers, one has to wonder, what price would others pay so that Hastings could sit atop the entertainment hierarchy? With great power came sharp scrutiny. Netflix's subscriber base surged past 200 million worldwide, and Hastings himself became a billionaire many times over. But as his wealth multiplied, so did the criticisms. Customers grumbled about periodic price increases. Governments and regulators raised questions about Netflix's impact on local film industries and cultural diversity. Competitors called for a more level playing field, while some argued that Netflix's data-driven approach encouraged addictive viewing patterns, hooking audiences and shaping their tastes. The streaming wars began in earnest as Amazon Prime Video, Disney+, HBO Max and others joined the fray. Hastings had unleashed a profound change in how media was consumed, and now everyone scrambled to catch up or surpass him. The result? More fragmented attention spans, endless battles over exclusive shows, and a race to produce content at a blistering pace, often risking quality for quantity. Meanwhile, as Netflix became a household name, Hastings' personal brand underwent a transformation. He was no longer the math teacher who joined the Peace Corps, nor the earnest entrepreneur selling a humble DVD service. He had become a billionaire icon, admired for his ingenuity, despised by those who saw in him a ruthless capitalist who exploited every opportunity to assert control. Did Hastings ever regret his more controversial moves? Like severing ties with teams that underperformed or pushing bold price hikes that alienated longtime subscribers? If he did, he rarely showed it. The man who once apologized publicly for the Quickster debacle grew ever more cautious in revealing his emotions or moral stance. He had learned how to navigate storms of public criticism with measured calm, always guiding Netflix toward greater market share and profitability. As Netflix's influence expanded, one question haunted all who examined Hastings' legacy. Had he improved the world of entertainment or merely extracted its riches at the expense of others' livelihoods and values? By the time Reed Hastings stepped down as Netflix's co-CEO in 2023, he had more than achieved his original goal. He had built a company that redefined how people consume stories worldwide. His personal net worth soared into the billions, placing him among the pantheon of America's wealthiest entrepreneurs. Yet this legacy is not clean or simple. It is fraught with contradictions and moral ambiguity. To some, Hastings is a pioneering visionary who democratized entertainment, giving viewers unprecedented choice and convenience. To others, he is a ruthless disruptor who destabilized traditional industries, exerted enormous pressure on employees, and used data and capital to shape cultural consumption on his own terms. Even as competitors rise and streaming platforms multiply, Hastings' imprint remains visible everywhere. He taught the world that controlling distribution could be more powerful than merely creating content, and that by mastering technology, one could remake an industry. But wealth earned this way can cast a shadow. The collateral damage, extinct video rental stores, laid-off employees, struggling legacy media companies, the anxiety and stress within Netflix's own walls, cannot be ignored. Hastings played a game with high stakes, and his victory came with casualties. He believed in a meritocracy of ideas and performance, but meritocracies in practice can become smokescreens for ruthless decision-making. As we pull back, we ask, in the grand tapestry of American entrepreneurship, is Reed Hastings a hero of innovation or a villain of industry upheaval? Reed Hastings emerged from modest beginnings to become one of America's richest and most influential entrepreneurs. Along the way, he bent industries to his will, set new standards for workplace culture, and delivered a streaming service that forever altered our relationship with television and film. His journey underscores a powerful truth about wealth and innovation in the modern age. True fortune often arises when an individual challenges long-standing norms, pushes past moral comfort zones, and exploits shifting technologies and markets better than anyone else. Hastings dared to dream big, and he possessed the analytical brilliance to realize those dreams. But this brilliance was not gentle. It sliced through the entertainment landscape, discarding old models and leaving competitors and naysayers behind. If we call that visionary, we must also acknowledge its darker side. The losses, the conflicts, the relentless drive that made Netflix a global juggernaut at any cost. In the final tally, how do we judge Reed Hastings? Perhaps the answer lies in understanding that wealth is never created in a vacuum. Someone always pays. Employees under pressure, competitors run out of business, consumers who must adapt to new paradigms. In Hastings' world, progress and profit marched hand in hand, and nothing, not even human comfort or tradition, would stop the forward thrust of his ambitions. And so we leave you with the tale of a man who changed our screens, our habits, and our cultural landscape, who rose to unimaginable wealth on the shoulders of both his genius and his willingness to break old rules. Reed Hastings will be remembered as a revolutionary force in media and technology. Whether that revolution was benevolent or brutal depends on where you stand, and on what you value most, comfort and fairness, or the unbridled creation of something profoundly new. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the lives of the world's most influential business icons. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another deep dive into the minds behind the empires. Who should we cover next? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep chasing your vision and building your legacy.